Hello, this is Stephen Whitfield with Drilling Contractor here on the floor of the 2022 IADC SPE International Drilling Conference and Exhibition in Galveston, Texas. With me right now is Alex Groh, Drilling Optimization Manager at Patterson-UTI. Mr. Groh presented a paper here at the conference on the Rules Engine Exchange, a real-time alert system for onshore drilling operations. Alex, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, of course, glad to be here.
So my first question is pretty straightforward. Could you explain to me what this Rules Engine Exchange is? What makes it unique? How does it work?
Yeah, thanks. So REX, or Rules Engine Exchange, is a real-time alerting system for any sort of data that comes off of our onshore drilling rigs. And so it combines a lot of different data sets into one solution that can effectively alert anyone that's either on or off location about certain events that are happening in real time. So the data that we have going into that system is EDR data, that's electronic drilling recorder systems. So all the time series data associated with that, along with all of our control systems data as well. So that comes directly from the rig control system, and it's specific to what Patterson-UTI has. So that's about, right now, 500 traces, but it'll go to 5,000 in terms of what we can use for this platform. And then finally is daily reports. So we also include all the daily report information. And so the system is really unique in that we can provide real-time alerts that's either through text or through email or through a web-based platform regarding pretty much any sort of event that you can think of, as long as you can detect it through data. We can provide those alerts to anyone, either on or off location, based off of those three data sources that I mentioned.
I would imagine that deploying a system like this throughout your company would require a little bit of work. So could you talk about some of the steps that Patterson-UTI had to take to get this thing ready for deployment?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing in terms of design and development is that this is software, right? And so we use an agile methodology to create it. But then in terms of actually putting this out across the company, we take a top-down approach. We're really passionate and thorough about ensuring that our tools are integrated as closely as possible with the operations team. And so what that meant is that we started from the top. We gave presentations to the executive level, right, ensuring buy-in from the very highest levels of the company. And then from there, we performed over a dozen plus different trainings throughout different areas and different regions in terms of how to use the system, how do you get these alerts, how do you subscribe to them, and how do you ask for new ones to be created. So overall, that's how we pushed it down. We have a couple of case studies as well that we performed.
Well, let's talk about those case studies. You mentioned the case studies that you presented here that were also in the paper about showing how the system can impact operations in the field. Could you tell us a little bit about them? What results did you see?
Yeah, absolutely. So overall, we had two different case studies centered around two completely separate areas. One is on greenhouse gas emissions, and the second is on connection compliance or procedural compliance. So first and foremost, looking at greenhouse gas emissions, we wrote some alerts that could be delivered directly to the rig side to let them know when they were running their engines properly. So we try to minimize the amount of engines that we run at any given time, and by minimizing them, we can reduce the total amount of CO2 that our rigs emit. They can also save significantly on fuel cost by reducing the amount of fuel that we expend. So overall, we wrote an alert that would detect when our rigs were not running their engines efficiently, and then would notify those rigs of that condition. And then from there, it's up to them in terms of shutting an engine down or bringing one up online. And through that means, then we can overall reduce the amount of greenhouse gas output that we have in the overall fuel. So we saw pretty good results from that, around 11 tons per month of CO2 saved per rig, along with some pretty decent fuel savings as well. In terms of the second case study, so that is along the lines of drilling connections. So we have a particular customer that we were working with that is very specific about how they want to have their connections performed. And so we wrote, again, another alert that will allow you to notify the rig when they are improperly performing those connections. And we monitor literally everything from how quickly are you applying your weight on bit to what is your pump strokes and your top drive RPM, right, at particular times during the connection. We monitor all those different conditions. And we were able to then create compliance reports and send information directly to the rigs whether or not they were compliant. So through that, again, sending an email directly to the rig, that really allowed them to improve their compliance. We were seeing about a factor of 3 times increase on the compliance from these rigs, so that was a really positive result.
Lastly, I want to ask you a little bit about future work planned around this. So what kind of plans does Patterson-UTI have in terms of expanding the capabilities of this platform? And what other plans do you have around deployment? Where do you plan to go further with this?
Yeah, so right now it's purely a cloud-based system, and so that means that all of the alerts that are written and are executed happen in the cloud and not on the rig. So that's a little bit costly from a cloud computing standpoint, and we already have server infrastructure that exists on the rigs. So what we'd like to do is push that system out directly onto the rig location, and then from there, that'll make it available to the drillers directly. So we're hoping for some HMI integration, where we'll be able to tie in an alert, event as either a pop-up or a separate screen. We're still working out those details, but we want to get this information directly into the eyes of the people that are actually doing the work as seamlessly as possible. In terms of further developments and deployments, so we're looking towards building up new alerts. Right now we have about 57 of them that are currently working and are available for all of our users, customers and internal. But obviously we want to expand that more and get into more complicated applications. And that can be really anything from drilling optimization, right, to procedural compliance, well control. We have a lot of different applications that we're looking to do in the future.
Well, Alex, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us here at the conference. This platform sounds fascinating. It'll be interesting to see where Patterson-UTI goes with it. So thanks again.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And thank you for visiting Drilling Contractor.